Hello, everyone. I want to talk about how online matchmaking seems, no matter what, to almost always be bad experience wise, and I don't know why. And I'm just here to talk about it. It's bothered me long enough that I wanted to make a video about it, so that way, while you guys are washing dishes or cleaning your restroom or something, you have something to listen to, so that way the deafening silence doesn't make you think too hard. Anyway, I'm here to fill your time, and I appreciate you watching. Or listening, rather. Anyway, on to the topic. So, online matchmaking. What is it? Well, it's the thing that if you play any sort of online PvP game, be it Overwatch, Call of Duty, pretty much any game that's primarily PvP focused, and has to put people together so that way they can play. And that covers many games. Like I said, Overwatch, Call of Duty, pretty much any game with online PvP. That being the main focus. Of course, there are games that have matchmaking that doesn't do PvP, like Helldivers. That's PvE, but you're just finding a group online pretty much. Anyway, let's get into it. So, online matchmaking. You would think for something that is used in most online PvP games, it would be a system that is rigorously always tested and always make sure to deliver a good experience, I should say. Now, most of the time, it functions, but functioning is not good enough in some regards. I guess it's better than nothing. You get to play your funny game, but sometimes you wish you weren't thrown into a match. Like, for example, sometimes you just get matches where you're like, I wish I would have delayed queuing just a couple seconds longer so I wouldn't be in this match I currently am in. I don't know why that is. It's so common because almost no matter the game I go to that features online matchmaking for PvP, there's always a point where it always feels terrible after a certain amount of time. And it always does feel bad. Like, for example, in a team game, at least, let's say Overwatch, it always feels like you are the carry and never the carried. I'll go a little bit deeper into that, but you have to carry your team so that way you guys can win. Now, I'm not by any means saying I'm insane at the games I play. I have bad matches just like anyone else. In fact, most of the time I'm a casual gamer of most games I play. So I'm not exactly the sweatiest man out there. I'm not the best. I'm about half decent. At least I like to think so. Why does it feel like if I underperform, we almost always lose the match? Now, if you have someone underperform in a team-based game, obviously it gets a bit harder for you to win. But I feel like it's almost always my responsibility and whoever I group with that me and my party have to do the extra work to not make the dumb decisions that other people do. Now, I do dumb things too. Sometimes you're playing just for the meme. That's just how it is. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm going to do the funny. If it doesn't work, we're in quick play. It doesn't matter. That's fine. But sometimes you have people that are genuinely trying, and it's not their fault. I will say that. That is not their fault. That they, the guy that learned how to left click on his mouse just yesterday, it's not his fault that he ends up on my team where I need my DPS to actually kill something. It's not his fault. He didn't choose to be on my team. The matchmaker said, you know what, the guy that learned how to left click yesterday, on that team right there. And I don't know why that happens. And sometimes the matches are just straight up bad. So, every now and then, it's very common, a bit more common than it really should be, that you always face the sweat match. The sweat match where it just out of nowhere, the difficulty spikes for no reason. Maybe there is a reason, and I'll kind of talk about that a bit later. But even still, sometimes if you're playing for an extended amount of time, there's always that one match that just spikes in difficulty for kind of no reason. I don't know why that happens. You would think if, say, you're doing average, maybe you're on a win streak, that doesn't mean throw the man that does not leave his room into my lobby on the enemy team. If anything, can I please have that guy on my team? And you know what? It never happens. It's always on the enemy team. He's always on the DPS role or an important role that if that's done right, it carries the entire enemy team. And if yours aren't matching his skill level, well, it's kind of a loss. And that's just about it. Now, another thing I don't like is that since there does randomly just have the sweat match, is why is incremental matchmaking not? If it does exist, it really should, because as it stands now, most of the time, matchmaking always feels like you're on a timer for the really sweat lord match to just hit you out of nowhere. And sometimes, at least I like to think that it's caused by you having a match where you perform above average than normal. Like, oh, I did actually decent this match, like really good. Like I kind of carried this round, or I did extremely well as in my role. I got a bunch of kills. I just outplayed the enemy team. And of course, feels good to do that. But I always feel like there's some sort of, I feel like I'm excited in the moment, but then I realize after we win, I might have doomed us to the sweat match faster than anticipated. And don't get me wrong, the sweat match almost always seems to just appear. And I feel like winning only makes the arrival of the sweat match appear faster than it normally would. Maybe normally it takes 10 games for the sweat match to appear. But if you win, I feel it chops it down to like 5 matches. You win again. Maybe it's your next match. Maybe it's your next match. But I don't know. I just feel like the looming sweat match is always in the cards for that game, or for in the matchmaking. And of course, if you're on an insane win streak where you're just stomping on people, and it happens, not by choice, but you ever have those matches where you can tell that somebody on the enemy team is just new to the game? You're like, oh, this guy is not doing what he should be. And what I mean by that is like you can tell like they're not either really not used to the character or just not used to the game they're playing in general. So they're making obvious mistakes. They're a little slower on the reactions. They don't react how you assume somebody would. Like, for example, you see somebody playing a character and then you see they're not using abilities, or they're just really, they don't know how to chain the abilities together or synergize them well. Or you see somebody where it's just like they don't know where they're supposed to be, like positioning wise. Like for Overwatch, for example, if you were playing like a Ana support, you'd want to be roughly in the back line, sitting behind your tanks, high ground if possible, hard to reach area. But sometimes you see the frontline Ana and you know that she's not supposed to be there. She really should be, at the very least, be behind your tank somewhere. And it just happens. And next I want to talk about, as in an extended session, it's not as bad as if you're doing a couple if you're playing for about an hour and go off on a win. But in those extended sessions, sometimes winning even exhausts you, which doesn't seem like it should, but it does. Like you've had matches where you're trying to relax, you're trying not to play optimally, you're trying to just enjoy the game, but you have to play optimally, you have to be on point, you have to pretty much lock in to have any chance at winning this match, because, maybe your team's just a little, again, not their fault. Maybe they're chilling. But sometimes there's matches where it's like, you feel that it's all on you and your party, and it's like, man, if I don't lock in, we're straight up just losing this match. And it makes kind of winning or losing, it doesn't really matter in the end to some degree, because winning exhausts you because you have to lock in super hard for that match, play optimally, do everything correctly. And then losing, obviously losing is not a fun thing to do. Losing exhausts you as well. What sucks is there's, win or lose, you end up being exhausted in some way. And I almost feel like it shouldn't do that, because, the entire purpose of a game is to have fun. And it's really hard to do that when winning a match exhausts you and losing a match also exhausts you. So it's like, why am I even playing this anymore? Another thing about incremental matchmaking is I feel like it doesn't exist. Like, for some odd reason, I feel like the game always decides that, like, whatever MMR you're at, you're playing at that level. The game thinks you're locked in at the moment. Like, it doesn't seem to have a flexible MMR for you, which you would think something as integral to the game as online matchmaking. Like, it's online matchmaking kind of determines a lot about your experience with a PvP game. I've had moments where, you're on a loss streak. It happens. You're trying to play your best, or you're not playing as hard as you could be. Like, you're noticeably relaxed. You're trying to play not as optimally. You're just trying to have some fun. But in the end, sometimes you try to have fun and you end up on a 4 or 5 game loss streak, and you're like, I know if I try harder, the next match will probably have a better chance. But should you really have to do that for a funny game? Like, you're just trying to play the funny game. Now, of course, if you lose a match, I'm not saying throw me in with the people that don't know how to use the controls or play the game in general. But if I'm on a 4 loss streak, maybe we shouldn't throw me in the next game that somebody on the enemy team has insane accuracy and I peek around the corner and instantly die. Or their tank or anything. I'm trying to be as broad as possible. I'm using many Overwatch as example because it happens a lot in Overwatch. But a lot of these things can be expanded to many other games that focus around PvP, online multiplayer, where it's just, I'm on a loss streak. I'm trying, and what sucks about the loss streaks is sometimes you're actually trying. You're trying to play semi-optimally. Like, you're trying a good fair bit. You're not sweating, but you're not playing someone that, you're not trying to learn a character that match. You're playing someone you're familiar with. You're like, okay, I know roughly what I should be doing, where and what I should be doing. I'm kind of trying. And then you end up on 4 loss streaks and you're like, do I have to play my main? Do I have to lock in? And then, if you do lock in, you have to hope that the enemy team isn't locked in, and then you guys are playing the battle for who's the better team, and it's like, I'm not in comp. I'm in quick play. I just came here to play the funny game, and that's about it. But yeah, I feel like the game for matchmaking does not adjust. Like, it should incrementally maybe give you easier opponents as it goes on, and because right now it always feels like you win a game, you get the insane sweat match maybe faster than anticipated, and then every now and then you also get the opposite where you get like the new player on the enemy team and you just stomp their team, and it's like, why is this happening? I know matchmaking isn't as cut and dry as I would like it to be, but it could be better. I feel like you shouldn't have to have matches where winning or losing, you're exhausted either way. You get the match where like somebody on their team or their entire team is just playing way better than your team. It almost feels like they're playing comp and you're in quick play, or you're playing casually. I feel like that should almost never happen. And granted, the system will not be perfect, so it will happen. But I feel like those should happen once a session at most. Sometimes you get like multiple sweat matches back to back. Like, you'll get one, you'll lose it. You'll have the next game, it'll be kind of all right. And then the next one after that, you can tell like somebody on their team is trying a lot harder than you are. And, it's a game. I'm not playing this professionally. I'm not playing even in competitive at all. I'm in the casual mode, and I'm still having to sweat for no reason when I'm not trying in the first place. And I feel like you lose out on the point of a game at that point. Now, I could just play single player games all the time, but sometimes you want to play a little PvP. And that also, maybe, you switch games. Like, every now and then, I'm pretty sure somebody, like, some people prefer to dedicate themselves to 1, maybe 2 games, get really good at those and not switch. Some people prefer to hop between games, Overwatch getting a little boring. I'm going to slap in, I don't know, I'm going to go play some Skyrim for a couple weeks. Oh, Skyrim's getting a little bored. Let's go on Apex. Some people like to jump here and there, or there's a really good story game they're into. They like to, play those, and your abilities rust a little bit because you're not constantly training them. But I just think matchmaking should be a bit more friendly overall. Or not friendly, but a bit more flexible. The system should be a lot more flexible than what it feels like it currently is. And that's about all I have to say. I thank you for watching/listening. And as always, have a wonderful morning, noon, or night. Goodbye.